Greetings, YouTubers. How's everybody doing today? Beautiful day out here. A great day to work on my 2004 Ford Explorer. What we're going to be doing today is taking the rear end out of this. Pretty easy to do. Now, I did a video on this about 4 years ago, and back then I didn't have very good camera equipment. And YouTube says, hey, you want us to stabilize it? I said, sure, why not? They stabilized it. Man, it made me sick watching it. So I don't know what they did to it. It zooms in, it's shaky. So I'm going to try to redeem myself today a little bit with better equipment that I do have now, especially the cell phone. It's amazing what these cell phones can do. So we're going to be taking this rear end out. Now the rear end we're going to be taking out is sort of like this here. This is out of a 2002 Ford Explorer. This is a 355 rear end. The one that's in my vehicle now is a 373 limited slip. And basically they're all set up. They got 3 big bolts that hold them in. You got one there. And you got 2 on the back here, especially back here where the cover case is. So we're going to be taking this out today. Now my setup here is I have a big beam that I picked up a couple of these at the junkyard. These are nice to have, and I've got the back end up pretty high. So this will give me a lot of excess to work under here. And also, if you can, get rid of your spare tire, because when you take that spare tire out and that plastic shield out, which I just kind of threw in the back of my vehicle, this gives you a lot more room to work under there. And this thing here is only held on by 3 or 4 13mm bolts. Very easy to take off. Once you get that off, you have a lot of room under there to work with. Okay, now like I said, I'm going to keep this video kind of short if I hadn't already said that, because I know you guys got things to do and you just want to see how this comes out in a nutshell. So I got both sides here lifted up in the air, got my beams under there. And we're going to go ahead and take our last bolt out of the wheel here, because I did a lot of this prep work to make this video as fast as I can. And now we'll go ahead and pull this tire out of the way. And now we got that out of the way. Now we have access into our rear hub and our brakes. And these bolts back here, take these out. These are held in by 10mm bolts. Throw those off to the side. And now we go ahead and pull this brake caliper off. And I'm going to kind of hang it up here. I'll get some wire later and kind of keep that up there, but that should be okay for now. Next thing you want to do, you'll have to take this big nut off right here. On this one, this is a 36mm. Some people say a 34 will work, but this is all I had. So once you get this big nut off here, try to break it loose when the wheel's still on the ground. If you can, it will make it a little bit easier. Get that off to the side. And now we're ready to go ahead and pull off our hub here. I may have to set the camera down real quick. Alright, there we go. And there's our hub. And we'll kind of just set it up under here for now. And now we have pretty much access into our e-brake if you ever have to work on it. And believe it or not, this is all we have to do on this side. Now we go to the other side and we do the exact same thing. And as you can see on this side, I got the beam under there, I got the blocks of wood, and this side I've already got everything off. We'll just set this hub off to the side. And I replaced these e-brakes long ago, and I do have a video on how to do that on these Explorers. If you want to see that, let me know. I'll put a link in the description. And basically, that's all we have to do, and just kind of hang your brake calipers up like that. And really, we've done a lot of the hard work. Okay, so at this point, we just crawl up under here, and like I said, with this tire out of here, we have all kind of room. You could actually camp under here if you wanted to. Take the big drain plug out. You will have to use one of these big sockets here. This is a 3/4 inch adapter. I think I picked this up for $6, and you can see how big this plug is. Get all that oil out of there, and now we'll go ahead and stick the plug back on, and we can go ahead and finish this up here. All right, so the plug is back in, and now we'll go ahead and take our oil. I'll stick it in the garage, recycle it, or just buy new when I get ready to put the carrier back in, the rear end back in. Okay, now I've gotten the oil out so I don't spill it. Now, while you're under here, do yourself a favor. There is a wire right up on the top here. Go ahead and unplug this. This is your back wire that goes to a sensor that's on the top of the rear end. Just go ahead and pull this out. Some guys take the bolt out right here, but a lot of times they can't get it out because it's so rusted. So do yourself a favor, deal with this when the rear end is out, and just make sure you unplug this plug so you don't break this, because a lot of guys forget about this. They drop the rear end and they snap that sensor right off the top of that housing. Okay, now having gotten that sensor off, really the only thing we have to do now, we have a bolt here that we have to take out on the bottom of this ball joint, which is right there, and I'll show you that in a second. And we've got to take these guys here off. These are 18 nuts. There is a rod that goes through here. We got to take this off. We got to do that on both sides. Now the reason I say only, that's all we have to do. We do not have to worry about these e-brake cables. What we're going to do, we're going to take this bottom ball joint nut off, and we're going to go ahead and, like I said, take these rods here off, this on the back side. Once we do that, we can pull this unit up, and this will let us pop this axle out eventually, and we can kind of let this whole unit just rest there, so it saves a lot of time. Alright, so we got our rods off here, and I forget what they call these, but sometimes these nuts here will turn, so just take a pair of vice grips and grip this, keep it from turning, because these little lock keeps, they usually bend off. Now you can either take it off from here, or you can take it off there. Sometimes you get lucky and that'll come right off. Other times, you have to beat the crap out of those to get them off. So just do what's best for you, and just kind of put those off to the side. And here is our lower ball joint nut. This side is a 13/16, and this side was an 18mm deep well or regular deep well. That's how that comes off. And once you pull this whole unit back far enough, there's your axle. It's out. And like I said earlier, the beauty is you don't have to worry about those e-brake cables. Let's go to the other side. And here's the driver's side, all loosened up. I kind of left the vice grips down on that just to remind me. And looky here, our axle is out. So this really was pretty easy to do. You don't have to worry about this e-brake. And for this entire job, to get to this point, it took me only about 45 minutes. Really, the only thing I have to do is to take out 4 bolts in the back of the drive shaft and take out the 3 bolts that hold the carrier, the unit in, the entire rear end. And I'm going to put something under there to kind of block it. But I do have a jack. I'm going to use a transmission jack. You may not have one, but just make sure you have something to kind of hold it there while you're dropping it down. This entire video so far, from start to finish, was only 45 minutes, so it's not too bad of a job. Okay, so for 45 minutes of work, not bad. When we come back here in my next video clip, we'll go ahead and have the rear end out, and we'll take a look at it now. The reason I'm taking this rear end out is it's making a noise at 45 miles an hour. It's making a whining noise. I probably have a pinion bearing getting bad or whatever, so I'm going to check the bearings and just replace the carrier bearings and just put it back in. Other than that, it was in pretty good shape, so we'll see you back here in a few. And our bolts are laying right there. They are 12mm, very easy to take out, and they even tuck some paint. And mark that. Same thing up there, so you would know where it goes back. Now these axles, a lot of guys have some trouble getting them out. You just get you a short piece of pipe, and right about there, get you a hammer. Make sure it's not a small hammer, but just a regular size sledgehammer. Just hit it a couple of times, and that axle will pop right out. And just like this, out it comes. Hard to do with one hand and camera the other. And there it is. It is out. Now make sure you don't get them mixed up with left and right, because I do believe one is shorter than the other. And that is all there is to that. And as you can see where my hand is, that is the passenger side, and you can see there is a little bit of a difference. Just a little bit longer than the other side. So make sure you don't get them messed up. So I'll stick this back on the other side so I won't confuse them. Okay, having said all that about those axles, all we gotta do now is take off these 3 bolts. Do yourself a favor, get you some red paint and some white paint. Paint that one red so you can know where it goes. And on the bottom, you got one right there. You painted a different color, and you got one right there. That way, the one you don't paint, you know where it goes. So that's all we have to do, and this baby is ready to come out. Okay, I'm all set up here. I've already gone ahead and taken out that bolt there. That is a 15mm nut, or bolt I should say. And you can see now, this thing is really loose. So I'm just going to use a couple of these jacks to hold it up, and you can watch me in real time take this off. I've got my 18mm socket set up here. And I've already painted that red, so we'll go ahead and just do this. And you can see that moved already. These are pretty long bolts, 18mm. So there's that one. Put that on that side. We got one left. It just may fall to the ground, I don't know, but I think those jacks will catch it for now. And well, maybe it'll be okay. And there's that one. And we are good. How about that? And our rear end is ready to come out. All I have to do, I'll set the camera down, pull these jacks out, and well, see, it's pretty loose. I'll put the camera down, take these jacks out, and we'll go ahead and pull this rear end out, so wasn't too bad. Okay, it's out. There it is. Now here's that sensor I was telling you about. Make sure you don't break that off. That is for your rear ABS, I believe. Yeah, that's what that is. That's a rear ABS sensor. So, and there's your little vent tube. Don't forget to unhook your hose. I don't know if I said that or not, but it's out. Make sure your bushings don't fall off, and double check those. Make sure they're not worn, because a lot of times you can get some bad clunking, but I've never really seen these bushings go bad in any of these rear ends. So there it is in a nutshell. I'm going to tear into it today, and right now I don't feel too much wrong, but I'll go in here and tear it apart and look at these bearings and see if it works out. So hopefully this works out for you guys. My advice is, if your rear end is making a lot of noise, I would just go to the junkyard and buy one of these and just reinstall it. Maybe that's the whole point of the video here, is to have you do that, because there's a lot of videos online that will show you how to tear these apart and redo them the right way. I'm not going to, my video is basically just show you how to get it out, and a redeemed video from years past. So that's probably the best way to go. If you just want to put another rear end in your vehicle, go out and just buy one for $100 to $200 and put it in. This would save you a lot of time and headaches probably. So other than that, thanks for watching, guys. Until my next video, well, work hard and make a lot of money, I guess.